Well, good afternoon, and welcome to Ministry Shift Extra. This is our second show. Last Thursday, we had some guests who are back with us this week, actually. I've got Di, let me get this right, Di Woolridge. I think I'm right.
Yep.
So is that right, Di?
That's right.
Good to have you back with us. We got Alex Wolvers.
Yeah.
Have I pronounced that right?
Yes, thank you.
I'm doing well so far. And also Matt Barkley. You all right, Matt?
Yeah, 3 out of 3. Well done.
I thought you'd frozen them for a minute, but there you go. That's good. So last week we were thinking about fresh expression of church, because that's what you three are all involved in. So we're going to continue that conversation. And today we're thinking about the impact of lockdown on fresh expression of church. Okay. So the first question I want to ask you is, so what's different in supporting a fresh expression of church compared to a normal church? And also just thinking about, what are the benefits, if you like? Are there things that make it easier or maybe more difficult? I don't know. So let me throw out, Matt, I'm going to come to you first. Can I pick on you first? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Bless you.
I think for me my fresh expression focuses more on young people rather than the wider church. So it's slightly easier because, in theory, the young people are a bit more there with the technology. So it's not introducing them to new things. They're already more advanced than I am. Then again, it's harder because we don't do a normal, typical Sunday morning service. It's stuff in the woods. So it's translating that stuff online, which isn't quite as easy as doing a normal service, really.
Yeah. I've got to say, I got told off by one of our congregation members when I made that comment, that older people aren't as tech savvy, because she told me that she'd been on courses. But anyway, still, thank you, Matt. What about you, Alex? What about you? What would you say?
I'd agree with Matt on what's more difficult, because we don't do a typical Sunday service to actually translate what we do, which is meeting together to eat and to journey together. It's how do we do that across the internet and with social distancing. And also because the fellowship that we're part of, some are used to church, some are not used to church. So it's not as easy as just putting out a recorded service. You know, they have different needs, they're at different parts of their spiritual journey. So it's trying to still meet people where they're at and to meet them on the road that they're walking, really. Okay. And that can have its challenges.
So what about you, Di? What are you finding challenging?
So it's been challenging with some and easier with others. So like our praise and play congregations meet weekly. Well, some meet weekly, some meet monthly. So we've been able to do an online weekly service that almost mirrors what we do. We just miss being able to be together physically. So that's been really quite well received and appreciated. Our messy churches tend to meet once or twice a month, and we're doing that still online. We've got the challenge of not being able to do all the messy church values because we can't do the hospitality, in the way that we would normally do, kind of thing. But we're able to do a celebration. We're able to, for it to be Christ-centered and creative and get everybody involved. The one I'm really struggling with, or the group I'm really struggling with, is actually our young people, because our safeguarding policy didn't allow for us to have any contact by Facebook or email, text messages with our young people. And so when we went into lockdown, although the diocese gave us some great advice, kind of contact your PCCs, get their permission, and then get your parents' permission. Because we're a benefice of 12 churches, that's not been easy to do. And we're still working our way through that. We've got the PCC's permission now, right, but we haven't got the parents' permission. They are not responding, just because people are so busy trying to homeschool and work from home as well, that, we're a little bit perhaps down the list of priorities of getting back to us, and that's not a criticism, it's just how things are.
Just the reality. Okay, so
Yeah.
we sort of thought about the difficult sides. Is there any benefits, do you think, to sort of staying, supporting fresh expressions, people in fresh expressions at church?
I
Is there
think
anything-
sorry, Matt.
No,
I
go on, you
think
carry on.
one of the major advantages for us is we don't have to worry about money because we don't meet in a church building. We're not having to worry about how we're going to maintain the building through this and beyond this. So actually, the big burden of finance isn't there for us, which is certainly, I find, a blessing at this time, especially.
Yeah. And I suppose
think
you've been in the woods, isn't?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think for me, it's because while our events differ every time, there isn't an expectation of how things should be done. With church service, everyone has that expectation of how things pan out throughout the hour, whereas don't have that. So we can kind of just go with it and just be there, provide with them, and just alter our sessions how the young people ask for it, really.
And what about you, Dad?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I think actually as fresh expression pioneers and people who work in fresh expressions all the time, perhaps we've been able to respond quickly to this situation because we're always having to be creative in how we do things. We're always having to think outside the box. And so this is just another occasion where we have to do that and think, oh, okay, so how are we going to do this then?
Yeah.
And it's been really interesting to see how that has starting to work out within our inherited churches as well, that the things that we've been doing all the time, they're now starting to think about and do.
Yeah, I suppose in some respects, kind of what we're doing, what all doing fresh. Are you there? I'm not.
We are, but I'm not
disappeared.
sure you were.
Oh, was it me?
Yeah.
Everybody froze. I was going like, hello. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, no, I don't know if you heard what I said. I was just saying, I suppose that actually what all churches are doing at the moment is kind of a fresh expression. It's all new, isn't it? To everybody, the way they're going about things, you know, and new people connecting to church in different ways. Okay, well, thanks for that. So thinking about sort of where we're at the moment and how we're sort of going about things at the moment. So moving forward, moving through, and we pray out of lockdown and isolation. Is there anything that we're going to do different because of what we're doing now? Have you found anything you're thinking, yeah, I've got to continue doing this in this way?
Yeah, I think for me, I want to continue to do to look at more online discipleship, because I think families are very connected online. And when they've not got all the pressures of the homeschooling and working kind of situation, that might be a good way of doing discipleship, because we've struggled to get families together to do courses and things like that in a, person-to-person type thing. Yeah. And I wonder whether, having seen how they've connected online with us, that might be a good way of doing discipleship going forward.
Okay. Alex, what about you?
Yeah, we found the same. We usually meet once a fortnight to pray as a group, whoever wants to come along. And there's usually just a couple of us who can make it because we've rushed in from work. And we found that obviously people are not rushing around for work as much, but I think doing it online, we'll see more people attending the prayer meetings if we did continue, because you haven't got to cook meals, rush out and get to another place. It's just that easier part of just putting your computer on and sitting in front of it. So I think not every week, not every time, but certainly maybe also through the winter when some of the older ones can't get out as easily, especially where we live. I think this will be a good way of going forward from that point of view.
How about you, Matt? Are you finding it similar, or?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that, and I think also for me, it's since we started in 2018, we've always been kind of focused on the young people, getting the young people. But since doing this, we've done some quizzes online, which have been for the whole family. and for families of children who aren't quite young people yet, as well as supporters and volunteers. So actually it's that kind of everybody intergenerational, getting everybody together to kind of figure out or to see what we're doing and to come together. So actually trying to, and again, it might be a case of we might get more attendance doing it online afterwards, but keep kind of every now and again widening our focus from the young people to include everyone to help that kind of inclusiveness that although we are a separate project, we're still part of the church. As well as doing training, we've always thought about doing training as a larger group, thinking get everybody there. But actually, we've been doing some things online with about 3 or 4 people, and it's been working really well with that dialogue. So looking at how we do training again will help. I think this has really helped.
Do you all think you're connecting with more people doing things the way you are now online, or not?
Yeah, I think we are. I've looked at, well, it's working out your stats, isn't it? It's how do we count these stats? And so I kind of went through our Facebook things, looking at the pages that they give you of kind of insights of how many people we reached and how many people we engaged with. And we do seem to be reaching and engaging with more people than we usually do when it's face-to-face meetings. So I think there is something in looking at doing both. It's a bit like when Fresh Expressions came in, it wasn't throughout the bathwater with the other things, it was both and, wasn't it? And I think it's a similar situation going forward.
I think we're getting, well, we are definitely engaging with more, but I don't know if we're getting the same relationship as we would if it was face to face. I think we're definitely getting more, engaging with more families that we wouldn't normally, and more young people. But yeah, that relationship might not be quite as deep as if we were doing it as a face to face meeting.
I suppose it'll be interesting to see, won't it, how we perhaps try to continue these relationships that we're making online after this comes to an end. How do we stay connected and somehow bring people together? That's going to be interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just a couple of minutes, okay, before we have to bring the program to an end. I'd just love to know. So, okay, we talked about people who we're connecting with, our congregations, if you like, the relationships we have. How are you doing? How are you keeping yourself sort of spiritually fit? What are you doing to look after yourselves? Di, let's start with you.
Well, there's so much. Yeah, there's so much, isn't there, online that we can connect with. You know, during post-Easter, there was Spring Harvest online, so you could watch some great kind of speakers and things like that. You know, dipping into other people's worship has been a real blessing, I've found. And actually just having a slower, although we're really busy, having a bit of a slower pace of life, you know, not doing the traveling. If you're organized, you know, if you kind of look after yourself, you can picture in those times of quietness and that within the business. It's just about being a bit organized, I think.
Yeah. What about you, Alex?
I'd echo what Di said, some fab things online. Really like the Wren Collective, what they're doing. But the quiet and the slowing down to me has been really important, because I've got such a busy life usually, and the taking time just to be quiet. You know, we on Sunday we talked about Mary and Martha and the importance of actually just slowing down and listening and just appreciating what's around us. So that's what I found, you know, walking the dog in the morning and just taking that time, not to rush back to have to get in a car, but actually taking the time has been something that I really valued from this.
Excellent. And Alex?
Or Matt?
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I completely echo, and to throw another one out there, Youth for Christ have been sending daily points and that, and they're doing a prayer for May, which is has been really helpful, and I can only assume this next month will be really helpful as well. But yeah, that slowing down pace of life, being able to read so much more and to kind of not just read it, but actually research it more without having to look at the and go, right, I've got 5 minutes to read this. So I can dedicate a bit more time to it.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, listen, thank you so much, you three again. Once again, we could carry on talking, couldn't we? Thank you. So thank you, Di. Thank you, Alex. And it's definitely Matt. And thank you, Matt, as well.
Yeah.
Listen, take care of yourselves, okay? God bless. Thank you for joining me today in the ministry shift. And we'll be back on, well, we may be back on Thursday, I think, although we're not sure what we're talking about yet, on Ministry Shift Extra, but definitely back on Monday with Ministry Shift at 4:30. So take care. God bless. Look after yourselves. Stay safe. And we'll see you soon. Ta-ra.